This program airs statewide on California Public Television and is a California's Gold classic. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association.
Hi, I'm Huell, trying to walk on a rather frozen Gold Lake here in Sierra County in the northeastern part of California. Now, this county has a rich history to it because back in the 1850s and 1860s, this was all gold rush country. There were over 12,000 miners living here. Well, today, Sierra County is the second smallest county in the entire state, population-wise. Only 3,000 people live here, and this place is over 75% national forest. Because of its rather isolated location and its history, this whole area is known as the Lost Sierra, and this is where we're going to be traveling for the next couple of days as we go in search of California's gold.
1, 2, 1, 2.
They're called the Sierra Buttes, 8,600 feet above sea level and spectacular. We got our first sight of them as we were heading down Gold Lake Highway to connect with State Route 49, which would take us to Downieville. Now, I was beginning to think we'd never get there. And then all of a sudden, we looked off to the side, and there it was, nestled down in a quiet valley. Now, Downieville is the county seat of Sierra County, and almost 400 people call it home. And driving into town, we knew immediately we were in for a treat. The main street lined with beautiful old buildings dating back to the 1850s. Back in the 1850s, Downieville was a boom town. Caught right in the middle of gold rush fever, over 5,000 miners lived here. Set in one of the most rugged regions in the state, it was populated by rugged people, all of them hoping to strike it rich. Well, today, gold rush fever has quieted down quite a bit, and so has Downieville. Most of the action these days takes place over at the courthouse, or out on the benches in front of the Downieville grocery store, or on the sidewalks in front of the post office or the Sierra hardware store. Now, we pulled into town not knowing what to expect. And at first, when we were looking around, we saw lots of quaint, historic stores and houses, but not a lot of people. But after a few days, we discovered that Downieville was full of people who were very proud of their little community and their way of life. Now, is this an all-volunteer fire department?
All volunteer.
What do you do when you're not washing the fire truck?
We all have lives of our own.
Uh-huh.
I'm a highway patrolman. He works for Caltrans.
So you just got the morning off?
Got the morning
and
off.
And decided you'd come over and work on the fire truck?
Yeah, wash the fire truck.
Do you do this often, or?
Well, 2 or 3 times a year, maybe.
What is the story on these geese?
Well, these geese are community property, and they have been on the river here for the last 6-7 years.
Uh-huh.
Everybody feeds them. They're everybody's friends.
So these are the town geese?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And
they belong to everybody, but I feed them. Everybody up and down the river feeds them. They're just a lot of fun, and we enjoy them very much.
Well, they're ready to eat.
Yes, they are. We'll see if they'll come on, you guys. Come on. Here.
Oh, wow.
Come on.
Oh, look, it's eating right out of your hand.
Uh-huh. Oh, they're so much fun.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank
I've
you.
heard so much about this museum.
Oh, well,
Can
welcome.
you show me a little bit of
Sure.
it?
I'd be happy to.
Boy, you've got a little bit of everything in here.
Yeah, there's quite a variety.
This
we'll
is
say.
great.
There's an old lemon squeezer that quite a few people comment on, but
Oh,
they've
wow.
never seen one like that.
Whoa. Now, Marion, you told me what this was, but I still can't believe it.
This is a snowshoe for horses.
A snowshoe for horses.
And according to one of the pictures here, they had them on all four feet to keep them from sinking down into the snow.
So this is what the horses in Downieville would wear in the wintertime.
Right, and the ones coming in with the mail and everything over the steep mountains
Would wear
more
snowshoes.
snowshoes.
Boy, these things are heavy.
Yeah, they are. They
How
are.
would, that would wear them out.
Yeah, with all 4 feet.
You've really got a little bit of everything here.
That's true.
And this is definitely a first.
And that's one of our most popular items in
You're
here.
not going to see this anywhere else.
No, probably not.
Oh, there it goes. Yay! What is the story on this church?
This church is the oldest Protestant church that's been in continuous use in California.
In the whole state of California.
That's what we claim.
Now, what do you mean that's what you claim?
Ask him.
You're the preacher. Well, you're the preacher. What do you claim?
Well, a buddy of mine who pastors in the Church of the Wayfarer in Carmel says his church is the oldest continuous church in use in
Well,
California.
how do you settle a discussion like
over
that?
a deck of cards. It's great.
Oh, I see. Now, what is this place you wanted to show me?
Oh, it's Willoughby's. It's a very nice little thing. The whole community comes over here just in the summertime.
Willoughby's.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Look at this.
Isn't that beautiful?
This is the old swimming hole.
Yeah. It's been here for a few years.
Oh, man. Oh, this is great. Now, where do you go swimming?
Oh, just right out here. See, there's a rock, this rock, usually it's a lot higher.
Uh-huh.
And see, people will just dive right off those rocks.
So you dive off up here?
Yeah. See, this one's called the Daredevil Rock because, a lot of snakes hang around here and they just want to jump over it, and it's really...
Well, this is better than a swimming pool.
Yeah, it is. A lot bigger and a lot nicer. You get to see a lot more fish.
Look how clean the water is. There's no pollution here at all.
No people like to pollute here. I mean, it's just beautiful. I think when city people come up here, once people did throw trash in here, but the sheriff came over and had a talk with them, and that was the end of that.
Now, you just told me something that I don't believe.
There are no addresses on our houses here.
There are no addresses in Downieville.
No addresses. We have post office boxes.
Uh-huh.
But when we have to have packages delivered, why, they say, well, what'll we tell them? And I said, they know where we are. They know who we are. You don't have to worry.
Well, I always say it's a sweet little town, because it is. The scenery is sweet, and yet it's a real town. It is the county seat of Sierra County. It's a working town. It's not a tourist attraction, although tourism is a big part of the business up here. But it's a real town with real people living here.
We may fight like a family sometimes, and we may gossip about each other, and we may pick on each other. But I've seen houses burn down, and everybody in the community show up to potlucks and donate money and donate clothes and donate food to that family. Whether they were your neighbors with the barking dog that drove you nuts or not, as a community we stick together.
Now, we went to Downieville because we heard it was this neat little town full of beautiful old buildings. A town full of history from back in the gold rush days. And it's that all right. In fact, the place looks like a postcard. And the setting is spectacular, surrounded by all those mountains and trees, and with the Downey and Yuba rivers running right through town. And because the area is almost all national forest, Downieville has remained small. But you know, without trying to sound too corny, after we had been there a few days, we discovered the real richness in this little community is in the people who call it home. A little bit of California's gold, nestled in the Lost Sierra.
Hi, Liz.
Hey, Joe.
How's it going?
It's great.
See, the cat is still in good shape. Brought you another mountain messenger, pike pole. Is this a good time to ask for a raise? I guess not, huh?
No, I don't think so.
Well, see what you think of this one here.
Money either.
When Joe Sharp turns in his newspaper column every week to his editor, Liz Fisher, it's a big deal. Because you see, the paper in which it appears is not just any old paper. It's been around a while. In fact, it's been around since 1853, which makes it the oldest weekly newspaper in the entire state of California. It's called the Mountain Messenger, and it's published in Downieville. The newspaper office is downtown on the second floor of a building which is well over 100 years old itself.
This is kind of where the stuff really gets done, isn't it?
This is it.
Now, we happened to drop by on a Tuesday morning, and there was all kinds of activity going on. In fact, the entire staff was busy getting the newspaper ready to go to press the next day. Lots of cutting and pasting and typing. And when you talk about the staff of the Mountain Messenger, you're talking about Liz Fisher, the editor, and Virginia Collins, the typesetter. That's it. They, along with the newspaper cat named Top Cat, who pretty much has the run of the place, do the whole thing themselves.
You know, my background is in construction engineering. Isn't that strange? That's what I did for 18 years before I came up here. That's what I raised my kids and sent them through college. And now it's just me. And so I can afford to live on the edge of poverty and, and do this. And I get to write, and I get to go to all the, I love meetings, I love political events, and I love knowing what's going on all the time. I'm real nosy, I'm, you know, very curious. And so this job allows me to do that legitimately. I'm supposed to be at meetings, I'm supposed to be here, I'm supposed to be talking to people and saying, you know, what's going on in your life. And so I love having that opportunity. That's why I do it. And I love living in Sierra County. It's beautiful up here. I think we can use it, but I think you did this in 3 too.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, well, we'll use it because it came out
I did.
all caps again too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we focus on local news. I only print things that they can't read someplace else or get someplace else because we have no other coverage up here except us.
Now, how do you decide what you're going to put on the front page? For example, you've got a wedding story on the front page.
Yeah, we always put wedding stories of local people, weddings and babies on the front page because it's interesting. Everybody wants to know, and everybody pretty much knows everybody here, so it's top news. These are the actual newspapers.
These are the actual papers from 100 years ago?
Absolutely. Yeah,
in these boxes?
Uh-huh, all up and down here, that's it. These are our archives.
Gracious.
Uh-huh. So,
oh, wow, look.
Yeah.
They're almost falling apart, though.
Well, they are. I mean, a lot of them are. And what I need to do is find a...
Oh, look. When you do your 100 years ago today, you really...
Take it right out of here.
Now, are you in charge of proofreading, too?
Yes, I do the proofreading, too.
So if there are any mistakes...
I have to find them. And I have to correct them.
Uh-huh.
And the correcting is a little, you know, a little harder to do.
Do any of them ever sneak by you and get in the paper?
Oh, yes, of course they do. Of course they do, but I try to catch as many as possible. But then we come to a crunch on Wednesday, and during the crunch, we just do well to get the paper out.
Are you aware constantly that this is the oldest continuously publishing paper in the state?
I don't think about it every living, breathing minute. You know, most of the time I'm thinking about, God, I need something to fill this space. You know, I mean, but I do, yes, I'm very aware of it, and it's real important to me to keep it going. It's not a lucrative job. I work another job to be able to afford to work here, but it's It's real important to keep this paper going. It is history. When we read 100 years ago today, we knew it was important to them 100 years ago. And 100 years from now, they're going to read my paper and they're going to say, well, this is what people in Sierra County were concerned about in those days. And so to me, it's real important to keep that going.
100 years ago, the Mountain Messenger noted that Jack Barrow was down from the Phoenix Mine near Sierra City and reported some fine-looking quartz there. It also printed the stagecoach departures from Downieville for Sierra City and Marysville. And right on the front page was an ad for the Miners Drugstore. Today, the same newspaper reports that Victor and Jean Fink traveled to Sacramento for the wedding of their son Dale to Lindy Mason. There's also news about a quilt show and a Republican meeting and the goodbye dinner for Sandra Loving. You can read columns from Joe Sharp and Judith Miller and poetry from Virginia. There's a letter to the editor from Walt McIntosh about the senseless shooting of a bear and a front-page warning to local youngsters about dangerous river ice. Now, it's a small paper, all right, with just 2 rooms, 2 employees, and a spoiled cat. And on Wednesday crunch days, things do get hectic. But the Mountain Messenger is carrying on a 150-year-old Sierra County tradition of reporting the news. It's fast, it's fun, and it's one of our favorite winter pastimes here in California. And nowadays, it's state-of-the-art, too, with snow plows and ski lifts and all the conveniences. Thousands of happy skiers can be found on slopes like these in Squaw Valley in the Lake Tahoe Basin. Now, these days, it's all kind of glamorous, but it wasn't always this way. Are they ready or what? And what we're looking at is history in the making. Because back in the mid-1800s, just 70 miles north of the present-day Squaw Valley Ski Resort, the first organized ski racing in the entire Western Hemisphere took place, when some rugged and rather adventuresome gold miners strapped on 14-foot-long skis and hit the slopes. And as part of our Lost Sierra adventure, we traveled from Sierra County to adjoining Plumas County to visit the area where all this took place over 130 years ago. Specifically, we headed up to Plumas-Eureka State Park near the tiny community of Johnsville. Our group included Eleanor Redstreak, a Plumas County resident whose late husband was a world-famous long skier. We were met by Park Superintendent Dave Nelson, who gave us a tour of the ski museum they've set up and filled us in on the history of those early California skiers. Dave, how did this whole thing get started?
Well, back in the 1850s, gold was discovered in this area, and it brought a lot of people into this area that really weren't used to the harsh environments that we have on the eastern side of the Sierra here. One of the hardest things to get used to were the heavy snows that we get during the winter time. So what ended up developing was the longboards, or snowshoes as they call them, which were actually real long skis that they used just out of practicality to get around from one mining camp to the other.
Were they good skiers?
They were excellent skiers. In fact, you know, they started racing, and because of the mining camps being, they like to gamble on just about anything they could, they started having races, and of course the purses ended up being for substantial amounts of money, and for that reason there were people that just ended up being professional skiers. But it wasn't just the men that raced. The women would race also, and even the children and the Chinese mine workers would race. And this was really different than most activities in the mining community. Very rarely were women allowed to participate in some of the other social activities.
Now we're standing in front of this display here, which prominently shows the ski dope, which was an integral part of the miners' secret to winning, right?
It was a very integral part. in fact, people that were known as dope kings developed, and they literally made a living just going from mining camp to mining camp, using their special dopes that they would not share with other people. When you had purses of $150 to $200 on some of these races, that was 4 or 5 months' pay for a miner, so that was big money, and so they developed a specialty of the dope, which enabled the skis to go much faster than they were able to normally. It cut down the friction and cut down the snow actually sticking to the bottom of the skis.
So the ski dope is like wax that you would put down there.
That's exactly it, although our common waxes of today are far simpler than the intricate concoctions that they used to mix up in those days. Again, very secretive.
There you go.
Now, talking about historic old long skis is one thing, but actually seeing them in action is another. So the Plumas County Museum down in Quincy loaned us a couple of pair for the day. This was my first opportunity to see just how long they were. Look at that. Now, the Sierras are a little short on snow this winter, but we managed to find some that hadn't melted yet. And Rob Russell, who's not only a good skier, but is also a long ski history buff, agreed to give it a try.
And this, the pole, how does that work again?
Well, apparently they use this. This was primarily as a brake for them once they got to the bottom of the hill. They didn't use this for maneuvering like we do with modern day skiing. As I understand it, they were just down in a crouched position like this, and as they got to the bottom of the hill, at the bottom of the run, it going 80 miles an hour, then they'd use the pole as their brake by dragging.
How would they do that?
Dragging it in the snow. As I understand it, they'd try and put it between their legs and kind of sit down on it like that.
Wow, and that would stop them, hopefully.
Yeah, which seems like it could be a dangerous maneuver.
Wow. Okay, so you're ready?
Well, I'm just about ready, I think. Yeah.
We're going to go down to the bottom of the hill,
okay,
and watch you go by.
And you're going to catch me if I go a little too fast.
Exactly.
Huh? Okay.
Well, how can I put this diplomatically? Let's just say I didn't have to worry about catching Rob as he streaked by at 80 miles per hour. So it was back to the drawing boards. Actually, it was back to doing it the old-fashioned way, the way the miners did it over 100 years ago, by first rubbing some secret dope on those old wooden skis. Then it was time to try it again.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Survived another one.
Except you never know exactly whether you're going to stop or not, do you?
No, you don't, but it worked out okay.
Wow. That is something. Well, you made it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Can I lay down now?
Yes, you can.
What a fun afternoon we had, watching as Rob recreated history. And what an interesting bit of history it is, too, something I didn't know, that our own California gold miners back in the early 1860s organized the very first ski club, the Altura Ski Club, and also organized the very first ski races in the entire country. In fact, little mining towns like LaPorte and Johnsville and Howell Flat were hotbeds for ski races. This is where it all started, in this still rather remote area of our state called the Lost Sierra.
Well, we've been here in this remote section of our state called the Lost Sierra for about 8 days now. And as we leave, it's finally snowing. And you know, since we've been here, I think we've come to understand that this place is special, not only because of its natural beauty and its rich history, but because of its people. They're friendlier and more outgoing. It's kind of a slower pace of life here. In fact, it's hard to believe that we're only a couple of hours by highway from major metropolitan areas. We've had a great time here, and we'd like to thank everyone in Sierra and Plumas counties for their hospitality. We'll be back here, and I hope you'll be back too next time as we all continue our search for California's gold.
Now, I mentioned earlier that the two counties we visited were a little short on snow, In fact, there wasn't any to speak of. So as we listen to Theda Brown, who's a well-known Plumas County piano teacher, we'll take a look at some pictures made by local residents of Sierra County that show how it looked in past years when there was snow.
You know, we mentioned at the beginning of the program that Sierra County is the second smallest county in the entire state of California as far as population goes. There are only about 3,000 people in the entire county. And one of the nice things about not having many people here is the fact that there's not much traffic here either. I'm standing with Sheriff Lee Adams, who has brought us to exactly where are we?
The intersection of Highway 89 and 49 in Sierraville.
In Sierraville, which is in the
eastern side of the county.
Eastern side of the county, and this is a very historic spot because we are standing
in front of the only traffic signal located in the county.
The only traffic signal located in the entire county. Now, is that some kind of a record as far as you know of, as far as other counties?
As far as I know, it's the only one with just a single lone signal.
Now, this couple live right here beside the only stoplight in the county. And what's it like to be this close to the stoplight?
It's interesting. In the wintertime, people run the stop sign. Nobody stops at the stoplight.
You're kidding. So they don't pay any attention to it?
They can't see it coming down the road till they get halfway through it. The only time we get the sheriff around is when you're here.
So you're telling me the only stoplight in the county and people run it?
People run it all the time.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed this adventure. If you'd like to see it again or share it with your family or friends, or perhaps donate a copy to your local school or library, it's available on video cassette and on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727 and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.